Hey, I was just dancing to the music.
You dancing to the music? I had to shut my thing off. Sweet. Love it. Love it, love it,
You
love
hit the
it.
live button.
I hit the live button
Hey,
and
Dave.
I'm refreshing everything and don't have my volume turned off. It's awesome. These are fun
I like
times
this
here.
green screen. I really am feeling
I
this
know.
green
I like
screen.
yours too.
I feel super rich and lavish.
Wait, that's not your real house? What?
Oh, what?
That's not your house? Why isn't
Yeah,
that your house?
when I get done, I'm gonna light a fire in the fireplace.
Oh man, I'm jealous.
Play the piano and unwind.
I'm not a fire. I only have a gas fireplace, so yeah, it's not really that fun. Hi, Dave. Are we gonna do this
Dave.
like this today?
Yep.
Are we? Are we all about that? Are we doing this? Yep. Hi.
We are all about whatever it takes to drive you crazy. Because you love me.
I know. If I don't let him sit here, he's gonna paw my legs until I relent.
Until you do.
So, yeah. So
you may as well just go ahead and give in.
Well, what do you want to do? Because we're not going to do the in and out game. We're not going to do the in and out game. Okay. Anyway. Hi, everybody. Welcome to I'll Take You. Hey, how's it going? I'm Mary, and my co-host with me as always is...
There's somebody in the chat? I don't see anybody in the chat.
Nobody's in the... It's Stream Elements. I added a bunch of new stuff into the... I'm playing with the stream, so I added some bots and stuff. So that's our little like telling everybody that there's a podcast and we're live now, and then you'll see messages come up as things happen. Today is Wednesday. I believe it's the 12th, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. Good. So we're on the same page. How's everything going? How was your Tuesday and Wednesday morning sit?
It's going well.
Yeah.
It's going well. Yeah, I had therapy today. It was emotional.
I'm sorry. Was it emotional in a good way or a bad way?
Well, it's always good because it's, therapeutic or whatever. But, like I never planned for it to be. And then it is. I'm like, I'm not going to cry today. I'm just not going to do it. And then that's the day when I'm like crying from like 5 minutes in until the end of the session. It's just like, whatever. So I'm like, I need a nap. I can't.
Yeah, right. I'm like, I was falling asleep about 40 minutes ago. So I was like, get up, you got to go to your podcast. I'm like, oh yeah, okay.
Thank you, Scott.
Yeah. I was like, oh yeah. I'm like, I'm up, I'm awake, I'm here. I'm here. So today's L is for liar. Liar.
Oh my goodness.
Liars who lie.
Oh my goodness, I got you all fired up.
You got me all fired up. So this is your fault because you sent me the video, because I had absolutely no idea what was going on, because I don't pay attention, because I'm not interested in this particular person anymore than I gave up a while ago.
Well, and it's so funny because I really don't know. I know very little about this person. So I know hardly anything about this person at all.
So the person we're talking about is Miss Tess Holiday, or Tess Munster, as she may have been known in the past. Hey, Nova! What's going on? How you doing? And
look at my house. I live here, Nova. I live here. I pay the mortgage here.
We're doing cribs today.
I'm not showing you my refrigerator. Mind your business.
She's got a grand piano and a fireplace, and I have a big teddy bear. So that shows you, and a dog and a Hot Wheels parking garage. That's the other project for this weekend. We're like clearing out the office because it's a little out of control in here now. Too many toys. Nobody's playing with them. So Tess Holiday, or Tess Munster, as she also was known as, I gave up on her way back in like 2013 when she had her little like merchandising scam thing going on. She had started that F Your Body Standards campaign and created all that merchandise, and then literally screwed people out of money because she never like followed through on that, or didn't like get anything out in a timely manner, or if at all. And then she kind of would go to Disneyland or something, or go on vacation and show pictures, and people were like, are you going with our money? Like, what's the deal? And it was a kind of a big deal. And I was just like, I'm done. Don't need it, you know.
So she was actually a model.
Yeah, she is a model.
No, I'm just trying to, because I literally know.
Oh yeah, she was a model.
I have no idea who she is, so I'm just trying to.
Yeah, she's a model. She was she broke into modeling as a plus size model, and her entire career is built on like fuck your body standards. Like, I am body positive. I accept my body, fat acceptance, and she was quite vocal about it. And
did this line of, so she was vocal about it, this became her catch line.
She became like, yeah, merch line. Did this whole merch line.
She literally stole people's money and did not.
She did this whole campaign that she came up with to like make merch, because she was doing like this catchphrase of F your body standards. Like, she did it on Instagram and whatever, and then she just never like followed through. And I can't remember. I'd have to like look it up. But if you put in like Tess Holiday scam into Google, you will get all of it. And that was that. And I was kind of finished with that at that point. But she was always like a body positive, fat acceptance kind of figurehead, basically. I mean, to the point where she actively spoke out against people who comment about dieting or anything. She was in that part of the body positive.
Anti-weight loss.
Yes.
You don't love your body if you lose weight. Social media type.
Yeah, she had like one of her biggest fans had gone on like weight loss, lost like 80 pounds because her doctor said she had to. And she had noted, and she documented it on Instagram, and she had like I think like 8,000 followers or something. And Tess Holiday was like her idol and was following her. And she noticed that she stopped following her, and she asked her, she messaged her and said, "What's going on? Like, why did you stop following?" And she said, "Because I find your diet talk triggering." Like, she was very anti weight loss, so she's like, that's where she's always had her brand and has built her whole career on and has made her money in that. So this is why I'm very confused with what you shared with me yesterday or the day before. So for those of you who don't know, I believe it was May 1st, Tess put out on her Instagram.
Before you do that, now, is there anything else like in the timeline since the scam? Like, it's just been like internet beef between like the obese to beast and the Alan Roberts and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, she's had a lot of that. There's been a lot of that. I'm trying to remember what else she did, because there was others. Let's see. I can't believe I didn't look this up. I should have came more prepared. Go ahead. Controversies. Okay. So, all right, here we go.
Mary's been doing all the work. Mary's been doing all the. This is mine, but she's been doing all the work on the whole channel.
In late 2014, we'll try. In late 2014, Holiday began producing a series of T-shirts with the phrase "F your beauty standards," with some of the proceeds being donated to an organization that helps survivors of domestic violence. In December, approximately 140 orders failed to deliver to customers, though about 3,000 were successful. A post on Reddit accused her of withholding money promised to charity, as well as not delivering on her products. In December 2015, Holiday told Refinery 29 that the project was launched with, quote, "pure intentions," and, quote, "my mother and I are both victims of domestic abuse or domestic violence." She said, "The idea that I would willfully defraud the people who have supported me along the way and a charity that touches on my own family struggles is so upsetting." Holiday admits that she did not know how to handle the logistics of the project, was unable to keep up with orders, and takes responsibility for some customers not receiving the merchandise they paid for. "The system we were using just didn't work," she said, attributing missing merchandise to one big big batch that was lost by the post office and, quote, usual business discrepancies. She was unable to make the charity donation after paying thousands and thousands of dollars out of pocket to a shipping and distribution center to ensure issues with merchandise would be resolved, which, quote, ate up what little was left of the profits. She said, adding that she has given a substantial contribution to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence. In January 2016, National Coalition Against Domestic Violence's developmental manager, Dina Coates-Kobler, confirmed a donation in the amount of $1,000 was made to our organization on December 13th, 2015 by Miss Hoven, which is her real name. So that's that thing. So she says Holiday is also self-described as a body positive activist. She embraces the word fat and advocates that people should be able to eat as much and whatever they want without suffering from social ostracism. In 2013, she started F Your Beauty Standards on Instagram. The movement shows women that they do not have to be a certain size to love their body, big or small, and that their size should not dictate their fashion choices. Since February 2015, Holiday has employed a team of 6 social media specialists to help manage her message across the world. In February 2014, Holiday appeared on Channel 4 News. In April 2015, she was interviewed by Meredith Vieira on the Meredith Vieira Show. In the same month, she appeared on Plus Size Wars on Channel 4 documentary about changing beauty standards and explores the fast-growing plus-size fashion industry. So she has, Holiday says she embraces the term plus size and disagrees with other people's rejection of it. She discusses how she does see how the term as negative or derogatory and thought the term is very important for larger women to have their own labels. So this is like her thing.
So but really no other huge scandals outside of just the whole
like
toxic
just
body
the whole normal stuff.
Okay.
Like just the
because I don't know anything about her, I just think it's really important for me to, have at least a cursory knowledge of her.
She's done a couple of things like, she's done like stuff like, she's boycotted Facebook for stuff and like, she's doing a whole bunch of, she's done a whole bunch of stuff like, it is what it is. So a lot of this, I'm just going to double check and make sure I haven't missed anything huge. Okay. Yeah, so this was just like, that was the big controversy with her. Like that was her big thing, like the big thing. And then of course, she was on the cover of Cosmo, which kind of made a huge Cosmo in I believe it was the British Cosmo UK. And that was a huge like fucking deal in October of 2018, and that was something like Piers Morgan got all pissed off about. So this is kind of she's always considered herself a model. She said that thank you Cosmo UK for this incredible opportunity. If I saw a body like mine on this magazine when I was young, it would have changed my life. So. And then, when she tweets that, she gets a lot of love back from lots of people who are like, if I had seen this, I would have been way better about my body and, all sorts of stuff. So, and then, she had, then last year there was the issue with the incident with the strawberry dress. I don't know if strawberry dress, where, it was like a crazy topic.
She wore it and it was beautiful, and then skinny people wore it and it was a microaggression or something like that.
Reverse. So thin people wore it and it was beautiful and popular, and then she wore it to the Grammys, I believe, and they put her on like the worst dress list. So she was like, so that was that. So that is like a quick synopsis of her. She was actually scouted as a model. She went into a casting, an open call for plus size models. And at the time she was an size 18-20. And she's in Georgia. So that's how she started. I don't believe she's a size 18-20 now. I don't know what her actual size is because I didn't look it up because I just didn't think it was worth looking up, to tell you the truth.
Right.
She's done a lot as far as modeling and, trying to get this whole message of body positivity and body acceptance across to people. And like, that's really been her like bread and butter for the last like 10 years, really. So, so for those who don't know, she came out on Instagram, I believe it was on May 1st, and said that she's been suffering from and is in recovery from anorexia.
From atypical anorexia, which is important.
Well, yes, except that I don't believe that was the first tweet she put out. It was in the first tweet.
No.
Hold on.
Because, of course, I don't even follow her, so I didn't even really... I'm so terrible.
What's wrong with you? No, I'm kidding.
Wow.
Let me see if I can find it. Hold on.
Again, like, I have my essay here of why
I
am
so she wrote
about
let me read you the actual tweet that she put up. She wrote trigger warning ED and weight loss to everyone that keeps saying, quote, "You're looking healthy lately," or "You are losing weight. Keep it up. Stop. Don't comment on my weight or perceived health. Keep it to yourself. Thanks. Yes, I've lost weight. I'm healing from an eating disorder and feeding my body regularly for the first time in my entire life. When you equate weight loss with health and place value on worth on someone's size, you are basically saying that we are more valuable now because we are smaller and perpetuating diet culture. And that's corny as hell. Not here for it. For folks like me that are trying to reframe our relationships with our body and heal, hearing comments about weight is triggering as hell. It sets us back in our progress. And when people working on themselves see you commenting to me that way, it hurts them, not just me. I can take it. I shouldn't have to, but I can. But they didn't ask for that trauma, okay? If you can't tell someone they look nice without making it about their size, then baby, please don't say nothing at all. So that was the first post. And then she followed it up with another post where she wrote, "This is for every fat kid that never got to eat without being made aware of, reprimanded, and shamed for every bite. To every person that got laughed at and humiliated for dancing, exercising, daring to love or to exist. This is for every person that has never had a chance to have a healthy relationship to food because the world's condemnation, judgment, and constant vigilance of their every move made that damn near impossible. This is for every person that has starved themselves, that has purged, that has binged, that has been on a carousel wheel of destructive diets and everything else in between. That suffered as a result of the prison of their mind formed in and by a hostile world to them. For every person for whom eating and moving and the concept of health was punitive and hell rather than the self-care and self-advocacy it should have been. This is for the world that has just recently started to make room for fat people's visibility, be it to shit on us for clickbait or because they actually saw our beauty or connected to our struggle enough to make room for us. That is not enough. Look at our humanity. Look at the collective trauma we have from just being fat in the world. Look at how many of us have suffered so long, sometimes in secret and sometimes openly and disbelieved and unseen. Look at our pain. Look at how you may be complicit in a culture that creates that, then denies its very reality. If you care about our health, care about our mental health too, because that directly impacts our physical bodies and relationship with it. The world may not be ready to have this conversation, and that's okay. But I'm here for my fat folks, for our narratives that have been invisible for so long. We deserve to exist as multidimensional human beings. We deserve to make and have room for our complex truths. We deserve to heal. We deserve to be free. So, and then somebody wrote, she quoted a tweet that says, "If you have an eating disorder but have never been diagnosed, your story matters. If you have an eating disorder but no one in your life knows of it, your story matters. If you have an eating disorder but are not being clinically supported, your story matters. You matter." And then like right after that, the next one is like her back on like sporting her fabletics, and she sat down with Good Morning America about her recovery a couple of days ago. And that's when she talked about.
But where does she say? Is this where she says she has it?
I don't know. I didn't see it. She said the hate has been overwhelming. The messages from those of you that have seen, she's taking a social media break. And then she continued to post. Of course she did. You know she did. So yeah, and then she came back.
She took a few days, it looks like.
So
I don't understand. I don't understand.
Let's see what. All right. So on Saturday, Tess
I'm
Holiday.
so confused.
I know. This was from May 4th. So on Saturday, Tess Holiday took to Twitter to share a health-related update with her followers. Anorexic and in recovery, she wrote. So she wrote that on Twitter. So let me see if I can find that tweet. Okay, so this is from 5/1/21 at 12:20 p.m. She wrote, I'm anorexic and in recovery. I'm not ashamed to say it out loud anymore. I'm the result of a culture that celebrates thinness and equates that to worth, but I get to write my own narrative now. I'm finally able to care for a body that I've punished my entire life, and I am finally free. So that was the tweet that kind of...
Where are you seeing this? I'm
on Twitter.
Oh, that's why I'm confused. I don't have Twitter.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So that was...
she just says anorexic.
Yeah, so then she says, okay, let me just scroll down. All right. So then she did a lot of responding to people, obviously. Mm-hmm. So let's see. Oh, gosh. Okay. She did a lot of responding to people because, so she wrote that, and then she got a bunch of like responses, and a lot of them were negative, and then a lot of them were not. But right. So then somebody like, all right, so to type it like, so she got a lot of the I wish you were, my younger self had you to look up to, blah, blah. And then a lot of people who had anorexia responded and were like, I hope this is not a mockery for all of us anorexics out there. And then somebody else, anorexia nervosa, often referred to simply as anorexia, is an eating disorder characterized by low weight, food restriction, fear of gaining weight, and a strong desire to be thin. Many people with anorexia see themselves as overweight, even though they are, in fact, underweight. And then some April Fool's was over a month ago, hun. Yeah, it's like, so she didn't... Thank you for not compromising your language to reinstate that the word anorexic is not a reference to weight, but to the mind. This is a huge ask, but I have an ED recovery podcast and would love you to guest speak about your experience. Okay, so she got a mixed bag of responses.
Oh, that's not a shock.
Right. So, and then she said in that she wrote a follow-up post, the one I wrote about not making comments about her body. And And that's the post
where she said she's lost weight, right?
That's what she says, but I mean, she doesn't really. She said that people are commenting saying she looks like she's lost weight. She hasn't come right out and said she's lost weight. Okay, so then she wrote that follow-up. It says, not the quote, but you're fat, how are you anorexic comments. Y'all don't know how science and body works, huh? My technical diagnosis is anorexia nervosa, and yes, I'm still not ashamed. This led to additional replies with numerous Twitter users asserting that Holiday couldn't possibly have anorexia nervosa because of her weight. They argued that people who fit the technical definition of anorexia nervosa are underweight, while people who fit the definition of atypical anorexia aren't. Yes, these tweets are accurate in the sense that the DSM-5 makes the same distinction, according to Allison Chase, PhD, Regional Clinical Director of Eating Recovery Center in Texas. The criteria for anorexia nervosa listed in the DSM-5 include food restriction or failure to gain weight, resulting in a, quote, significantly low body weight of what would be expected for their age, sex, weight, and height. It also specifies a fear of gaining weight or becoming fat and a distorted view of oneself as touchstones of the condition. However, what's really, really important is that it doesn't change the fact that Tess's emotional functioning and physiological, psychological, all the pieces going with it, are just as significant regardless of what you label this. It's unfortunate that everybody's focusing on these words that define it when the reality is her psychological distress and what makes it an eating disorder and a mental health disorder is just as predominant, regardless of whether I use the word atypical or not from a treatment perspective. In general, expressing doubt when someone says they have an eating disorder is very harmful. Eating disorders are often characterized by difficulty in trusting the self and then self-advocacy. So if a patient is already pushing him or herself to speak up, advocate, and claim the truth of their experience, and it's so important that we hear and believe them. Challenging someone's truth walls us off from learning from them about them and denies them access to the care they need. When it comes to the distinction between anorexia nervosa and atypical anorexia in particular, some mental health professionals are arguing for modified definitions in the next version of the DSM. Currently, what I'm seeing and hearing from my colleagues is that this weight stipulation within the anorexia nervosa diagnosis is more prohibitive than helpful. For instance, if a patient is already existing in a bigger body and then loses a certain amount of weight extremely rapidly via intense calorie restriction, over-exercise, and compulsive food rituals, then this most certainly is a case that would be in alignment with anorexia nervosa. However, not being in an underweight body would mean that this client does not receive a diagnosis of anorexia nervosa, and her experience is therefore invalidated or mischaracterized.
And this is the number one reason that leads me to be so conflicted and makes me feel makes my inner Chris Crocker just want to shout to the world, leave Tess Holiday alone. Because what happens to that morbidly obese person who decides I can no longer eat? I just can't eat because I don't want to gain another pound. Where are they? And morbidly obese people just sort of fall off the spectrum of eating disorders. Binge eating disorder was only officially recognized as a eating disorder in and of itself in 2013. Like, so then where do morbidly obese people fall on that spectrum when it becomes a restrictive disorder? There's nowhere for that. And I can't speak to her problematic behavior because the whole social media body positivity, if you've watched any of our podcasts, y'all know how I feel about social media and body positivity. You know how I feel about that. I cannot speak to her problematic behavior with her merch line and all that other stuff, but I can speak to her, even though she speaks about her diagnosis and she speaks her truth publicly, her right to her privacy and her HIPAA, none of us are her doctor. None of us are her therapist, and we do damage when we sit here and say you're too fat to be this or you're too fat to be that, because we don't do that to skinny people. I'm sorry, I hate to say skinny people is not the word, but we don't do that to people who appear to be whatever. And again, I'm not co-signing the social media body positivity stuff. I'm not saying don't tell me, oh, you look like you've been losing weight or whatever. And I'm not saying that equating losing weight with health is a bad thing, because I'm not saying that. But it's highly likely that being in an industry where she is most likely the only person who looks like her over the course of however many years she's been doing this, and being the person that, I'm just going to put it out here, that people attack her every day because she says stuff like, don't bother losing weight, eat as much as you want, whatever you want. People attack her for that. I'm just saying, how likely is it that she could flip to the other side and say, I don't want to gain another pound and I'm not going to eat another thing? These things happen. And there's a responsibility that she does have to the millions of people who follow her. That's the other side. That's the argument that I'm going to let you make.
I find it just really interesting because this kind of just sounds like what she does normally. Like she goes for these controversial things to say and do, and this is how she gets, her relevancy and how she makes her money. Like her engagement on Twitter was extraordinarily low has been recently. She comes out with this and all of a sudden it's like explodes. So I'm not that that's any correlation or means anything, but I mean, it's just kind of interesting to me that we're hearing this from her. I think what kind of really kind of bothers me is that there's two things going on here. Either she's lied the entire time she's been this body positivity, fat acceptance person and has like denied or hidden her issues, or she's lying now. I mean, it's really hard. But I think it's really hard.
Why is it that it couldn't have developed now? A lot of people develop late onset mental illness in all sorts of areas. Why isn't it that she couldn't have developed a skewed perspective about you know what I mean? Like, why is it, and especially in an industry where being thin is what it is, you know what I mean? Like, why is it that she couldn't have all of a sudden, and yes, lies are going to be involved, right? Yes, she lied, like, somewhere along the line, she started lying, whether she was lying to herself, lying to her audience, lying to her whatever, lie. She started lying because either she started lying and stopped eating to lose weight.
Because this really comes out of nowhere. Because, like, literally...
For us.
Literally.
For us.
I understand that. But, like, literally 2 days before she comes out with her anorexia announcement, she's like, being confident means embracing every part of yourself. Like, I mean,
well, I mean, okay,
the best part of the trip, other than getting dressed up in public and dancing to Rod Stewart at a tiki bar, was the vaccinated hugs I get. Yeah, so she's talking about all this trip she's done. Now that I have a stomach tattoo, I'll be showing my fat tummy a lot. Deal with it. Like, I mean, I'm not saying that she doesn't have anorexia. She may have it. I don't know. I'm not in her head. I just feel like she's put out completely two conflicting different things here.
Right. And so maybe that was whatever time she decided she was ready to speak her truth about her eating disorders, anorexia,
Please enjoy the last hot pics I took before I got my stomach tattooed.
Stop it.
I'm sorry. I mean, like, my energy for 2021 is all about embracing my inner glow and making it visible every day to the whole damn world.
Maybe she was hyping herself up to be able to say it.
Like, I'm not.
I don't know. Look, all I'm saying is none of us have to live in Tess Holiday's head.
No.
But Tess Holiday. Of course she was lying. She lied to herself. And that's who got the most damage of all. Like, more than anybody else, she harmed herself by lying. And either she's lying now about even having any type of anorexia or not, but whether or not she is, that's ultimately none of our business. That's all her business. Everybody who follows her
says is in line with any of the markers for anorexia. Nothing she puts out or has said
on
or done.
social media, but you don't know what she
lives her entire life on social media. So, she put her entire brand of her out there on social media.
So many people put their entire brand on social media, and they're absolute frauds on social media.
Well, then she must be an amazing liar. Amazing liar, because I've never seen anything like it. She talks about her abusive relationship. She talks about everything. So
I don't know. Like, I scroll through my social media feed, and I just don't believe half the stuff I see about people.
You can't believe half the stuff you see about people.
So So there's that. I
But
just,
she's been doing this for like 15 years. I mean,
my inner Chris Crocker just is stronger than, I am such a bleeding heart. Somebody needs to like sew up the little hole in my heart that just bleeds and bleeds and bleeds. And like, I don't know. I can't help myself. I can't help myself because I just don't have it in me to rip people to shreds no matter what. And I know you don't either. And that's not what you're doing. That's not at all what you're doing. I
think I'm almost going towards, I think I'm leaning towards what this person who wrote this indietruther.com person wrote in their blog.
There was a lot that they said. There were a lot of gems in there.
There was some. All right. So this person apparently is a former addict or is in recovery from alcoholism and opiate abuse. So they can, and their whole gist of where they're coming from in this article is that apparently they also suffer from mental illness, from depression very badly. And then that led to their substance abuse issues. And they are making the statement or point here that they are what you would call a very functioning addict and a functioning someone with a very high functioning mental illness. So they were saying like, there's a difference between somebody who's depressed who can't get out of bed and then them who can go to work and put on a good face and do all this stuff. So there's a spectrum of how it presents. And they're saying that on this scale, they came out as a very high functioning, like doctor would laugh in their face if they explained how they got along in their daily routine, yet were explaining to you how depressed they really were. And then as far as the alcoholism and substance abuse, they drank on the daily, but still showed up for work every day. Never had an issue with work. Like were highly, highly functioning addict. So they wrote. Okay, so
what they said at the end was very, very.
Yes. She wrote. With all of this perspective, or him, I believe it's him. With all of this perspective, I know that any and all mental health issues can manifest themselves drastically different from one person to the next. But when Tess Holiday came out in May 2021 on Twitter and claimed that she had been diagnosed with anorexia, I had to take a step back from my initial emotional reaction, anger and frustration, and do more research before I put any words to paper. Analytically, Holiday doesn't meet the criteria. Per the DSM, the 5 criteria must be met in order to diagnose someone with anorexia. There are 2 that Holiday does not meet: restriction of food intake leading to weight loss, or a failure to gain weight resulting in a significantly low body weight of what would be expected for someone's age, sex, and height, and fear of becoming fat or gaining weight. The last one could be met with a pass simply because of how often she comments and speaks about her weight. But with anorexia, the fear is pathological. They will literally do whatever is needed to not gain a pound. Now, I don't doubt for a second that there were perhaps some misguided doctor that did indeed diagnose her with this horrible affliction. Doctors can and often do make mistakes, like when I was diagnosed with Crohn's and was in a lot of pain. I'm sure my doctor was just trying to help when he prescribed me 120 milligrams of 120 Lortab 10 milligram pills with 12 refills. This is why you can always get a second opinion. I'm putting this fact aside, though, because of how murky it is. Yet, even outside of the potential misdiagnosis, there are much more mental and emotional side effects to this revelation of hers simmering underneath. As I've written before, weight loss in the body positive community can be met with swift retaliation. It's as if a group of starving hyenas has a member of the pack who has been injured and they are all about to leap on one of their own. The idea of body positivity is that the person is supposed to be happy in their own skin, no matter what size they are, big, small, short, or tall. Be proud of what you have. The reality of this is often quite different. Members of the body positive community are being banned from various social media groups once they start to lose weight, some being shamed and outright verbally attacked for weight loss. This even happens if the person losing weight is doing so because of a medical need. It's sad when people would rather see others suffer as opposed to doing something that will extend their life. The inherent hypocrisies to this attitude are something to keep in the back of your mind. You're not starting on a level playing field. You now have millions of people who, because of what they want to see and hear, are thrown into a tizzy because she has just broken the ideologies of what anorexia is, with no clear methodology as to how this procession of events is going to actually help anyone. Since the release of her tweet, she's admitted there has been a lot of backlash, and rightfully so. I understand what it's like to ask for help and not receive it because you don't fit what has been traditionally associated with whatever mental health issues you may have. But I also understand that the root of a lot of that error in judgment is because of exactly what Holiday is doing. By not fitting what the ideology of a problem has always been associated with, it becomes very difficult for those who may not exhibit typical symptoms to get the help they need. Being someone going into a doctor's office with crippling depression, I know the look of disbelief you get when you tell them how functional you are. There may be people who can identify with Holiday, feeling like they have all the mental health attributes of someone suffering from anorexia, but have a large BMI. But by her telling them that there's possibility they have an eating disorder that cannot be quantified by scientific standards could very well open the gates to a myriad of other mental and emotional side effects by those who are easily swayed. People who full on believe her are going to follow along and potentially not get the proper treatment they need. She has a platform, a voice that touches millions worldwide, and knowing full well the headlines and attention this would grab her, she went with it. Her arguments of being misunderstood or being the victim of hatred and cruelty is something that has been a mainstay of her career. This makes the backlash she's been getting not only par for the course, but also expected. Knowing this, I cannot imagine why she would do something so harmful to so many people who love her. I don't think this is an issue of her trying to gain attention. God, I hope not, but that she wants to help. Whether she was diagnosed professionally or not, she does not meet the standards. I'm hoping that these facts can permeate the body positive community. I cannot fathom the fallout this could have in a world where emotions run high and can completely override common sense. There's a lot there.
That's a lot. There's a lot because, like you said, in what you read earlier, like there may be a need for the standards to be reviewed and for changes to be made. Right. And that may be why she doesn't meet the standards, number one. Number two, this individual is making a judgment on what her motivation is. This individual does not know what her motivation is. This individual is speaking as though Tess Holiday is doing something to her audience instead of something for herself.
Right.
And I take issue with that because a lot of people will do that to these bigger, excuse the pun, but these bigger people on social media, these larger influencers, as in larger reach influencers, right. The things that they do, especially the missteps, especially the mistakes, especially the lies, as they're doing something to people as opposed to they're doing something for themselves when it doesn't benefit their audience. And I don't know. All of this really just adds up to Tess Holiday is a broken woman and she desperately needs help. And none of this shows me at all that people really give a fuck about Tess Holiday. Like, it's about what Tess Holiday has done to millions of people that she doesn't even have the ability to put her hands on. She's a broken woman.
Right.
She's a broken woman.
I think if I had to make a criticism about this, and I realize like she doesn't owe anybody anything at all, but
except
I think if I had to
get their shirt,
right? Yeah, that's true. I think what I would say is this: that this person is correct. She has a huge platform. She has had for over a decade a huge following of people who have supported her, have followed her, in some ways she's allowed them to buy into or discover body positivity and fat acceptance and, you know, owning your body. She has a huge platform for this. Now, my criticism of this would be that I'm hoping, or I would assume, that she has like a person or some people that work with her to like do her publicity or like help her with her like social media strategy. I think that if I was going to do this, I would have approached it much differently, and I would have given a little bit of the background on it and said, like, a doctor did diagnose me with this. I understand I don't meet criteria, because, you know, she's going to put it out there, which is going to start a huge conversation about what anorexia is and isn't. So you know, it would have been smart to say, I was diagnosed with this by a medical professional. These are the criteria that fit anorexia. This is why we felt, or he felt, or whoever felt it was. I did fall into the criteria. While I understand that my body type is not typical of an anorexic, the mental issues that I'm dealing with are blah, 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 blah. It fits with the profile. Yes, they're probably going to update it because there's a lot of discussion about this. There are other atypical eating disorders that are out there.
And that's
this is the one I fit into. Like, this is the one I fit into.
You know what I really feel like? I feel like before there was binge eating disorder, there was eating disorder not otherwise specified. And I feel like that's maybe like if she was actually anorexia with something, it was that, and she's being treated as anorexia.
They actually replaced eating-os with something else now. It's
called, they did.
It's called Other Specified Feeding or Eating Disorder. So it's OSFED, OSFED. It's replaced. I feel like, I know. I feel like
that's what she like. Is an official diagnosis?
Eating disorder not otherwise specified in the DSM. These eating disorders are diagnosable eating disorders that do not meet the specific requirements for anorexia, binge eating disorder, bulimia, pica, avoidant/restrictive food intake disorder, and rumination disorder. Although not as common as binge eating disorder, which is the most common eating disorder, affects 6% of the population and has a 5.2% mortality rate, OSFED is similar to other eating disorders in that individuals also have a higher likelihood of having co-occurring conditions. According to statistics, nearly half of individuals with OSFED have a mood disorder, such as depression or bipolar disorder, and 1 in 10 individuals with OSFED have a co-occurring substance abuse disorder. So then they talk about anorexia nervosa versus atypical anorexia. They say, according to DSM-5, individuals with anorexia meet the following criteria: persistent restriction of food intake leading to significantly below body weight, either an intense fear of gaining weight, becoming fat, or persistent behaviors that interfere with weight gain, a disturbance in the way an individual views their body weight or shape. And there are 2 subtypes of anorexia, the restricting type and the binge eating purging type. And then so atypical anorexia nervosa is one of the 5 disorders known as OSFED and meets all the criteria for anorexia with the exception of the low weight criteria. Individuals with atypical anorexia engage in binging/purging and or restricting behaviors, have an intense fear of gaining weight, and carry a disturbance in their self-image. However, they are of average weight as opposed to being underweight. So there is some small distinction there, but I mean, I don't think anyone's looking at her saying she's of average weight either.
Right.
So I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a blend of like 3 or 4, like a little from each category. Right. But again, she would have been better off coming out and saying, I have an eating disorder of unspecified or whatever the hell this new thing is, versus saying anorexia, because we all know what anorexia what we all go to with anorexia when somebody says it.
And I suspect she just felt like she was restrictive eating. You know what I mean? And
I doubt.
And they're
they're
taking her down an anorexia treatment pathway, sort of. And so she just went with it, like because because she's Tess Holiday, and
but you know what?
she's going to push the limits.
But I can
and fat
also
people
see
can
her
be anorexic too.
I can also see her going down a restrictive eating pathway, but then also binging. Like, you know,
Yes.
I can see that both happening. So,
yes.
you know, to me, I guess my biggest criticism is I don't like the way she put it out at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like she just kind of dropped it out there, which, you know, is her right. Like, I respect everybody's privacy. She didn't have to say anything, right? Like, she really didn't. And she might have been better off not saying anything. She had to have known by putting this out there, this is what was going to happen. Like, because she's seen this happen over and over and over again in her career. Like, she's always been like a center just for existing and looking the way she does. She's always been a center of controversy.
That's what he said as well. Like, she knew this was going to happen.
So
she knew this was going to happen.
I would have done it a much smarter way. Like I said, I would have given a lot more context for that diagnosis, because
all the words she can put in her Instagram description.
Right. Nobody is going to look at her and say she's anorexic. Like, I'm just like, because of what we've seen in popular culture and what we know of anorexia, unless you have an eating disorder or study this, you're not going to make a distinction between what the criteria are. Like, everybody hears anorexia, you think someone who starves themselves to death, right? So she's going to have a BMI of under 18. Like, that's what we think it is. So, you know, again, she would have been better off saying, I saw my doctor. I'm under care. This is what we've diagnosed myself with. This is why, and again, you know, I don't feel like she owes it to anybody, but at the same time, I kind of do, because if you're going to put yourself out there as
if you're going to say something like this,
body positivity and fat acceptance, and then you're going to say you have an issue, you know that people are going to look to you for guidance and understanding and what that's about as well. So people who like idolize her or who are fans of her, who say, oh my God, I've had some kind of crazy disordered feeling or relationship with food too. It sounds like what she's going through. Maybe I should follow up on that. Automatically, like, I'm anorexic too. Like, I don't know, you know,
that's
like,
the problem with that toxic body positivity on social media. She's got
a platform. Like, whether she likes it or not, people are listening to her and are going to look to her as an example of what to do or how to follow through on stuff. So I am critical of the way she communicated this. And I'm sorry if I sound like a bitch, but I think it's just really weird. I think it's just really fucking suspect that, you know, 3 days or the whole like 20 years before this post, it's all like, my body's wonderful, like, more power to me. I dropped this post down for 2 days. And then the next day, after I took a 2-day break, I'm back to like, I'm beautiful and I love you know, like, so I mean, like, I wish you would just almost say, like, guys, like, I got to make a living. This is my job. Like, I have to do this, you know, or something. Like, but at the same time, like, I would have like, so much more respect for her if she dropped that bomb and then said, okay, so I'm doing this photo shoot right now. And it's kind of really hard for me as somebody who's suffering with this body image issue. And now I have to go to work and project this because this is what I would have had a lot more respect for her if she kind of thought this out a little bit more, like, which is why I feel like I'm not entirely convinced this is not just something for her to do to get some views or something.
And as someone who has followed her and is more familiar with her antics over the years than I am, I can completely understand that. Like, I am sensitive. I have a hole in my heart, and I do too. You know, I'm new to this. Like,
but like, her whole brand has been based on controversy. Like, she gets in a controversy,
and that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not familiar with that controversy. Like, there's other people that I would be far more suspicious of too. But I just want to be like, leave her and her eating disorder alone. Let her sort that out with her therapist. You know, like, that's how I feel. Like, it's none of your business. You know, like, I feel like she works with. I feel. This
goes back.
I feel like she works in an entire, I know, right? She works in an industry full of liars. Like everything she does is a lie. Like, of course she's a liar.
Made that decision to go down that path as well. Like she knew what she was doing. She made her name in that profession by saying, I'm going to disrupt this whole concept of what modeling and beauty and all this is. So she knew exactly what she was doing.
But it's still all a lie. Like it's still all makeup and tight, you know, you don't like, we all know that as beautiful as she was on the cover of Cosmo UK or whatever that magazine was, Vogue or whatever, that swimming suit was tight as fuck, and it was pulled back in the back, and you know when they took it off, she went.
Let's be real here. Like, no plus size models look like any plus size people I know. Let's just be honest, okay? They're all like 7 feet tall. They don't have stomachs. They don't have like, you know,
and they're all airbrushed.
Right. You know, so I mean, like, it's all bullshit. It really is all bullshit.
It is. I mean, no models look like real people, you know, so it is what it is.
This goes back to what we've said before on here in earlier episodes that I know I've said, that we don't get any realistic conversation or representation of eating disorders or what people dealing with eating disorders are ever. Like, we never get any reality here, because this to me is not reality. If you're gonna just like slide that in between like a couple of your normal posts and then like, you know, not follow up on it, but your way of following up on it is to go on Good Morning America.
Right.
You know, that's not reality. Like, I want you to tell me, as somebody who may have an issue with my relationship with food, why do you think you have anorexia? Like, how did you guys get to that point? Because, you know, I'm not thin. I'm not underweight. I'm not like starving myself to death, but I know that, like, you know, I'm just throwing it out there. Like, I could be somebody who's like, I'm not thin, but I don't eat because I'm definitely afraid of gaining more weight.
I agree with that, Scott. So
how did you get
and this is why these conversations are important, Scott, because what she's doing is it's like leading people down a path.
Somebody new might love this. Like, somebody who doesn't know anything about her may love this. And I think, you know, you do represent that.
Somebody who doesn't know anything about her might get furious and go try to find her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm not furious about that. I you know how I feel. I don't care if she loses weight or not. Like, if she wants to lose weight and feel better, that's on her. Like, I'm totally cool with that. I am not somebody who's into body acceptance, and then when you decide you need to lose weight, you get kicked out. Like, that's not me. Like, I am all for whatever people need to do to feel comfortable. My problem is, I want you, as somebody who has a huge platform and as somebody who can go on Good Morning America to talk about your issue, to give me some reality with it. Like, I want to know how you got to that diagnosis, because, you know, if it turns out that you feel like you die, if it turns out that you and some doctor who doesn't specialize in eating disorders kind of came to a decision that maybe you had anorexia, I'm going to have an issue with that.
Yes, absolutely. Okay? Absolutely.
But if you're actually in treatment with an ED specialist. And then I want to know, because one, that reinforces the idea that this is a serious issue that needs to be dealt with professionals who understand it. And two, that's reality. Like, I want to know that there's some basis for this. So, you know, I feel like there's a lot there that is just lacking in this. Like, so I hope to God, if she's got it, she's recovering and in treatment that is specific for what she's dealing with, and that she's getting the help she needs, and she feels like she's making progress.
I'm just going to put this out here because, you know, let's just put this out here. Tess Holiday, if you see this podcast, you know, you happen to be like scrolling through YouTube or scrolling through, you get past the girls in the hot tub and you scroll through Twitter, you come across this, like, we want to know, like, we if you want to share, like, share that. Like, what were your symptoms? If you feel safe sharing it, like, this is a safe place for you to share it. We're not going to attack you. Like, I want to know what were
And
your
we're
symptoms?
also not going to put you up we're also not going to put you up as the poster child for anorexia either,
Absolutely not.
which is what I think other people want to do.
Yeah.
Which I think there's definitely a subset of folks who want to say, look, even fat people can be anorexic. Look at this person. So I'm not looking to put her up as a spokesperson for anybody. If anything, what I would love to see her come out as is somebody who's willing to talk about the reality of this situation. Yeah. Because we get none of that. Any of it. You know, how many times have we talked about this in our discussions that we don't ever see a reality? How does this impact those who suffer more from standard forms of anorexia? Well, I mean, I can't say because I'm not somebody who suffers from it, but the general reaction I'm seeing from people who are anorexic is, why the hell are you making fun of us? Like, they feel a certain way about it, you know? And, you know, that's like a whole other level of this particular kind of mental illness, when it becomes like your identity instead of an issue that you're dealing with. And I think there's a lot of that with all mental illness. There's definitely a lot of it in eating disorder, that area of mental health. So, you know, I think that there's a split. I think there are anorexics who are very much like, you know, welcome, come in, let's talk. Or then there's other people who are like, you know, what are you doing? Like, why are you making fun of this situation? You're not, you know? And I think that goes back to the fact that she's been not transparent about how this diagnosis happened. You know, nobody looking at her or even following her career would think that she's, you know, so she actually made a statement, and I can't remember, I read it like in several different places, and I think it's something she said on Good Morning America that people were quoting, that she said that for the longest time, she thought she was always overeating, but then like she had so many friends who were like, who ate so much more than her, that she used to wear that as like a badge of honor, that like, I actually don't eat that much, even though I'm this fat, like, but these thin people I'm friends with eat so much more than me. So, I mean, like, this is a quote that she is telling people that, you know, she actually, you know, held on to that. Like, it was really a meaningful thing that, you know, her other people ate more food than she did. So she probably was restricting, but nobody knows this because we don't know her and she doesn't talk about these things. So for her to throw this all out there now, it's like, what this person's saying is that she's throwing all these people into like a spin of everything. And, you know, it didn't have to happen that way. I'm very surprised that she didn't have somebody helping her, like guide her through like how to deal with this topic, especially because of her profession, her messaging, like
and her social media, social media specialist.
I think the whole brand, like, I mean, this is like so off brand for her that I would think that, you know, she would have, like, somebody would have helped her. Like, I'm just kind of shocked that she didn't think more about this. But then again, like, she's done so many other weird bullshit things that, like, she knows she's going to, you know, she knows what she's doing. Like, she knew she's going to drop. There's no way you can't tell me she knew she was going to do this and then this wasn't going to happen.
Right.
I just think it's a little irresponsible for doing it and letting it happen. That's my thing. I agree that DSM-5 probably needs updating, much like binge eating disorder. But how do you reconcile the F your body standards movement with this? I think that's my cognitive difference.
I think, and that's the thing, there have been the past anecdotes that make this less believable. I agree. I think it's a mental health issue that she might be able to say, oh, it's not my body, it's my mental health, right? Because an eating disorder is a mental illness. And so it's not about gaining or losing weight. It's about fixing your mental illness. And then two, I just got a text message.
Okay.
Talking about talking about eating disorder, I just got a text message that my dinner is out for delivery.
Oh, sweet.
But so I think that, like, not to say that this is like what this is her angle or whatever, but I think that if it were to be an angle, like that would be one way to reconcile F your body standards or whatever. But I recognize how the past antics and I feel you. Like, yesterday it was love your body and everything's great and I don't have any problems, and today I'm anorexic. Like, but I also get that, like, even though she's got this social media presence and this, that, and the other, like, she's also like her own person with her own privacy and her right to share what she wants to and not share what she doesn't. And can you imagine being like whatever weight that she is and coming to terms with, like, I have this atypical eating disorder, I don't know what it is, and then to like be potentially working with an eating disorder specialist to come to terms with the fact that you have a restrictive eating disorder and you are morbidly obese like that, and like you love yourself, you love your body, and you are going to have to sooner or later say that you have this atypical eating disorder and I'm just, being treated down an anorexia pathway. So, you know what? I'm just going to throw this shit out on Twitter.
Yeah.
Let the chips fall where they may. It is highly irresponsible, but no matter how she puts it out there, it's going to be highly irresponsible.
And I'm just saying, like, the other option is that she's just opportunistic. And like at the time that she did F Your Body Standards, that was the hot thing for her to make money off of. And now she's finding some other angle to go into because she's exhausted one. I mean, I'm not going to say that that's what it is, but I mean, like, it's okay to be cynical about this because, it could not everything comes from a place of good intent, right? Like, she wants to make money and, like everybody else. I'm not saying that I would like to think that. Honestly, in my heart, I don't think that, but I don't know.
I have a feeling, obviously, I can't say I think because I didn't follow her, but I get this feeling that maybe F Your Body Standards was just kind of the thing to make money, and it kind of got her stuck.
Yeah. I mean,
it kind of got her stuck, and this toxic body positivity.
It's also entirely possible that, 10 years ago, she felt a certain way. And as time has gone and she's gained more weight and it's impacted her physically or health-wise or mentally, that her whole issue has changed and her whole attitude towards this has changed. And,
but this community is so toxic.
Right, that she doesn't want to say anything. And now she's at a place where she's like, I'm recovered enough to talk about it, or I've dealt with it. But again, I think her approach sucks. Like, I think it sucked. But anything, I mean, it's her decision. I have nothing to do with it. It doesn't affect me.
Could you imagine being the figurehead of this highly toxic community and having to figure out a way to say, I don't want to do this anymore, that I do want to get healthy, and health and weight loss kind of do go together. And I can't imagine
being that. I can't imagine being that, but I can imagine that if that was my situation, I would back it up with a little more contextual, like some history behind why I feel this way now. I'd be like, look, guys, I have to come clean about a lot of stuff here. Like, I'm in recovery for this eating disorder. I know that this was I've made my career on this whole thing, but while this was happening, I was suffering because, like, how awful is it now to think that for like a decade she's been suffering in silence? Like, that's
her whole life. She's been suffering.
So why, it's
I feel like she would know. I mean, can you imagine though? Like, she's backed herself into this corner now where no matter what, now she's always going to be that bitch. Somebody's always going to look at her that way. And it's terrible because even the people who looked up to her and then decided they want to lose weight or they want to make changes in their life and they moved on, she became that bitch. You know what I mean? She became somebody that is to be villainized and reviled. And whatever. And she was right in there. She was right in there in the ring, throwing punches, throwing jabs right back. Like, oh, I find your diet toxic. Don't support me. I won't support you. Like, and now look at her. Like, now if whatever her eating disorder is, like, her whole community should be like rallying around her, and half's gonna drop her, and
that's
like all of her.
What about the larger people who've been her supporters who now might feel slighted because she's no longer one of them, like y'all mentioned about the body positive? I think there's two things. Either she's going to get put on, she's going to get like her head on a stake by a large portion of them. They're going to reject her. But I think for people who are in like that middle area where they're like, look, I am all about accepting my body, but I know that there even comes a limit to where that goes and how this might be some place where they're kind of like, okay, look, I can get on board with this because I kind of feel similarly, like it is kind of toxic. There are limitations to how much I can accept my body, or what I'm willing to accept from my body, or what I'm doing to my body in order to be healthy. I don't know. But like, my thing is, I hope she puts out more context to it. I hope she's willing to talk more about it. I really hope that this isn't, I'm going to throw this out here and now we're going to pretend like everything's normal, because it's not going to go back to being what it was now. She's changed that completely.
I hope she stops acting like people who take care of themselves and lose weight as a result are the devil. And I hope that she takes care of herself. Tess Holiday, if you come across this, I hope you recover. I hope you heal, and I hope you can move past whatever issues that caused you to have a bad relationship with food, and whatever your body looks like when you get to the end of the road for recovery. Well, obviously you will recover forever, but whatever your body looks like, embrace that. And if it's smaller, that's okay too. And if it's bigger, if you're okay with it, if you don't scream, I won't holler, No,
I just hope that she gets to a place where she's willing to share more about it. Like, I think that if there's one big positive thing that can come out of this, is that if she's willing to talk about it and put it out there, that she can do a lot of good for a lot of people. Yeah. And get some attitudes changed a little bit
get real help. Yeah. But get help. Don't just be out here talking about you're anorexic because you went on a 5-day fast. Please, God, please don't let that be what this is about. Get help.
Help. And that's the problem, is that the way the message has been delivered, we have no friggin' idea. Like, it could be that. It could, you know what I'm saying? Like, it leaves it open to all sorts of interpretations, and a lot of it's not positive.
And that people will take any words you say. You can just say the word "the," and they'll take it and run with it.
Yeah. So
they'll take it to the worst places.
I really am hoping that something good can come of this if she's willing to share more about this experience. But that's on her. And I
wish her the best. I wish her the very best. I wish her recovery and safety, and recovery in a safe place and a safe time. So but this is another good one. This was a great week.
It's been fun.
This is probably the two best ones so far.
Well, then, on this note, since your dinner's on its way, I'm gonna end us here.
I just saw the text message come down.
Don't worry about it.
I just want you to know I had a whole list.
Did you really have a whole list to cover? Oh, good.
We covered pretty much the whole list.
Oh, that's awesome. I was going to ask you, did you write an essay for me?
I did. I wrote a little essay. It was bullet pointed and everything.
Great. Well, thank you to everybody who's watching. Those in the chat, those who are lurking.
Welcome to my new house.
Yeah, we're gonna
don't mind the borders on my new house. I'm gonna work on that.
You're sitting in a doorway.
Safest place in earthquake.
That's right, in Minneapolis. If you like the content, if this is interesting to you, please consider supporting us. Our leaving our tip or anything like that. Everything goes back to the show. Our Venmo and Cash apps are listed below. On our Twitch page, there is a button that links to PayPal and also puts these information out there again. So if you are interested in that, please feel free. You don't have to. We appreciate everything. If you are not following us on Twitch, please change that. We are so close to getting to 50 subscribers to hit affiliate status. So close. Hopefully we'll get there. If you are not subscribed to our channel on YouTube, I'll take the L on YouTube. Please do. This is what the content will be. I know that people are probably not happy that I've changed the content of my former YouTube channel. I don't really care at this point because I'm enjoying this content way more than doing the. I mean, I will definitely try to talk more about diet and exercise every night. We may have to do one. Hi, Ava.
Absolutely.
We may have to do a show on that.
Oh my goodness! You made it in.
She's my hi.
Can I say hi on the house?
Yeah. No, we're still live. Scott's like, to be honest, me too. Yeah, this is much better content for me. Like, this is better. But yeah, well, we can talk about diet and exercising in a safe, positive way. Stop it, please. In a positive way. And Dad's calling me
diva right here.
So yeah, my mini me. And so, yeah, I won't go away from that completely, but I have to tell you guys, I get a lot more personal gratification out of these conversations, and I like these much better. I feel like I'm actually talking about stuff that actually means something to more people. I don't know, like, it's just my own feeling about it. So, anywho, so if you're not following us on I'll Take the L, all right, your dinner's here. You got to go get it. Guys,
keep talking.
Thank you to everybody who supports us, all the streamers on Twitch. If you're looking for different content or a variety of content, please look at the streamers, gamers, DJs, anybody who we have listed off of our page. Angie's gonna drop dead. I'm sorry. Okay, so thank you to everyone. And we appreciate you. And we're gonna play games this Sunday. I don't know if Angie can hear me or not, but Sunday we're gonna do game night. I believe we're gonna do trivia. More to come on that. I will post up the information. It'll be on the YouTube and on the Twitch page with the upcoming live stream. I think we're gonna play You Don't Know Jack, but I'm not sure. And we're gonna just shoot the shit. So if you have anything you want to talk about, bring it. We'll probably talk about whatever's going on social media or whatever that we care to talk about. So having said that, I'm going to end the stream here. Hopefully Angie has not hurt herself getting her dinner. And I'm going to go and put these kids someplace else. And I'm going to eat my dinner. So everybody have a great week. And we will see you on Sunday evening. Bye, everybody.